presentation today are to define biobanking and its origins, to outline the growth of the field and its drivers, and the current issues of biobanking in North America, and introduce a few initiatives in biobanking education and community development. A biobank is an organized collection of human biologic materials and associated information stored for one or more research purposes. Collections of plants, animals, and microbes and other non-human material can be biobanks, but today we'll focus on human biobanks. As you know, biospecimen use is ancient and evolving. Saving specimens for clinical care as well as research predates all of us in this room. Some important recent examples in biobanking are searching for infectious agents, including poliovirus in the early 1900s to the Salk vaccine in the 1950s, and the recent causal agent in cervical cancer notice of human papillomavirus in the 1980s and the vaccine development in the 2000s. In the U.S., biobanks accept, process, store, and distribute biospecimens and associated data for its use in research and clinical care. There are many models of biobanks, from prospective collections that may be study-specific, or hospital collections, which focus on remnants from clinical care and tissues and biofluids from surgery. Or virtual repositories, multi-site or multiple repositories and networks, and even short-term storage. A biobank may consist of just a few freezers in an academic center or a laboratory, to a hospital, to a large commercial operation. The picture in the background is the Precision Bioservices Liquid Nitrogen Repository, which is in Maryland in the U.S. Of course, associated with all of these freezers are a wealth of data and stored in computers and networks and databases around the world. In the U.S. and across the world, biobanking, of course, is now widespread. Saving human biological and environmental samples is an activity that spans the public sector agencies, academic centers, hospitals. Nonprofit disease-focused charities are getting well into the biobanking arena, as well as for-profit companies. There are many specific items that are pushing industry into biobanking, including the increased emphasis on personalized medicine and companion diagnostics, biomarker research, and clinical trials associated with biomarkers is the wave of the future. Continued growth in translational medicine and epidemiology to be able to find large representative population samples in order to find causal relationships with disease, and the demand for advanced sample management services. The regulatory demands in the U.S. for research and drug development are driving biobanking in the U.S. Industry projections show that the demand for biomaterials in our biobanks is outpacing the supply, and that the initiation of clinical trials focused on biomarkers is increasing from year to year. But to reach the goals of personalized medicine, we must recognize the hazards ahead. There's a lack of standardized methods, which leads to inherent risks that artifacts from our bad biobanking practices are being interpreted as valid findings. Many international organizations have launched efforts to develop best practices for high-quality biobanking and high-quality data capture. But the international harmonization efforts have not been straightforward, and they've been uneven, and the ethical and legal challenges have continued to be difficult to overcome. In the late 1980s and 90s, molecular epidemiology was taking hold. The need for large, quality biospecimen collections was increasing. My division, DCEG, was one of the founding members of the International Society for Biologic and Environmental Repositories in 1999. Our first meeting was held in 2000, and it focused on molecular epidemiology studies and human biospecimen and data management. In 2005, the Cancer Genome Atlas project was launched. It focused on the discovery of genetic mutations in tumors. By 2007, the promise of the samples that they would find in the biobanks for the study wasn't delivered. They could not find the appropriate retrospective samples banked to meet the goals of sample quality or broad consent, and they had to go out and recollect many of the samples for the study. Yet, the public media had captured biobanking on its map. In 2009, biobanking made the top 10 ideas changing the world today and continues to be in the forefront. So our focus is still high quality, data-rich samples in our biobanks to be the essence of our future research. And you'll see more and more papers that are being published that are all focused on quality of our data as well as quality of our samples. In the US, the ethical and legal issues surrounding biobanking are continuously debated. In fact, this week, earlier on Monday, there was a discussion at the American Cancer Society's session on informed consent and the individual research results and the return of them.